The critics are raving about it, but is Wasteman as good as they say, or should it be left to rot in jail? Let's find out on the Late Night Movie Podcast. Welcome back to the Late Night Movie Podcast. I am your host, Welchy, and joined, as always, by my co-hosts, Mr. Pop Figures himself, Andy.
Hello, guys. Happy to be back. And I just thought of a new category for when we do our sort of end of the year video. Best pun for 2026.
You'd have to start noting them down when you think it's a good one.
I am, yeah.
And we're also joined by our resident horror expert, Stephen.
Yes, hello everybody. Lovely to be back as always. I was expecting you to kind of use waste as a pun.
I was trying.
So it kind of went down a different direction, but still, I appreciate it. But
I was like, is it a waste of time or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. But no, still solid.
So yes, welcome back to the Late Night Movie Podcast. Andy and Stephen have seen Wasteman early. It doesn't come out until the 20th. We're releasing this episode on the 16th of February, which is the Monday. It comes out on February the 20th. You both saw it on Tuesday the 11th?
Yes.
So yeah. 14th.
Yeah, no,
right. Tuesday 11th.
We saw it last Tuesday.
So a good week and a half early, which is good. And you're now both going to review it. So I will not be reviewing it, but I'll be asking questions. And I'm interested in a movie, so we're not going to go into major spoilers today. So you don't have to worry about that if you're listening. We're also not going to go into many stats and figures because I cannot find a budget for this movie anywhere at all. It's just not available. And it has no box office because it's not out yet. So there is nothing to talk about in that sense.
Does it still have the Rotten Tomatoes score?
We've still got scores. We've still got scores, yeah. Just no budget or box office. So Rotten Tomatoes is sitting at, do you know?
It's 100. Last one I checked, 100%.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's because it's out yet, though. As well.
Yes, yeah. There's only like 11 reviews. So very early days. Only 11 reviews, and we're about to review it, so we're the 12th, apparently. That's how it works. Letterboxd is not quite as good as 100. It's at 3.8. It's solid, very solid.
That's audience, isn't it?
It is. Obviously, there's no audience score on Rotten Tomatoes yet, but Letterboxd is 3.8, nearly a 4. Obviously, these better to know these a week after the release, to be honest. But early signs are positive.
I'm gutted that I didn't pick this for the Rotten Tomatoes game.
You'd be scoring high now.
I still think it's going to get a high. Yeah, I think it's going to get a high critical. So I reckon I would if it goes under 88.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I can see it being in the 90s in terms of the critics.
When it starts that high, it does usually drop, but it's usually a good sign that it'll be quite high still.
Yeah. I kind of wish I picked that instead of Is This Thing On? In hindsight.
But, well.
That wasn't allowed.
You chose it, didn't you?
Huh?
Yeah, you probably could have still chose Wasteman.
You could have still chose. It wasn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, I couldn't. I checked. It had 100% at the time.
Back then,
as I said to you. Yeah, when I checked at the time of when we were recording that, I remember saying to both of you, "No, I can't pick that because it's got a score." If I had done it at the time of when we recorded, it didn't have anything. But because I think at the start of the month, I think it got that score. Fine. So it got some really early critical reviews.
Well, let's find out the most important opinion, and that is Andy and Stephen's. Let's start with Andy. Obviously, no spoilers, but what did you think of Wasteman? And obviously finish it off with a score out of 10.
Yep.
Sorry, first of all, what is Wasteman, for people that don't know?
So Wasteman is a prison drama. It's based on the guy from Long Walk, and I've forgotten his name already.
I'll get those details up, Hang on.
Yeah, so the main character, I can't even remember his name in the film. I've seen so many films, I'm going to forget all the character names. I don't know if you remember, Stephen, but the main guy is already in prison, and it's telling his story. And basically, it's what's happened basically in real life, where they've got too many prisoners, and they're doing like an early release of some prisoners if they sort of follow the program, keep their heads down, and sort of good behavior, they'll get released early. So he's in prison. He's sort of a more shy character. He's taking drugs and stuff as well. But he keeps himself to himself, really.
His name's Taylor, by the way.
It's Taylor, and he's played by David Johnson.
David Johnson.
It
Okay.
also
I
features
was going to say David.
Tom Blythe and a load of
Is
other
that
people.
the Rivals guy?
His name is D in the
I
film.
can't remember. Is that his cellmate or?
D's the cellmate, and then
Okay.
the guy from Rivals. He actually doesn't have a name. They don't mention his name because it just says Alex Hassel on the
Oh,
cast
really?
description, apparently.
That's crazy.
So, but yeah, the two main D and Taylor are the two in the prison together in the cell.
Yeah, so it starts off with Taylor sort of showing him in prison. He's sort of got a cell to himself, quiet, keeps his head down, just goes on about his normal life. He's sort of portrayed as sort of kind of a skinny guy in this film. And then D comes along. He's his new cellmate. He's been shifted from another prison, basically because of bad behavior. Got kicked out. Basically, got moved to this new prison, and then he becomes cellmates with Taylor, and that's when it all starts to go a bit crazy because you can imagine this Taylor comes in and he wants to run the prison. He starts in prisons really like this, by the way. Like he comes in, he starts getting all different sorts of chocolate bars. He has a bloody Switch, TV. Like his cell goes from completely plain to all this fun stuff in this prison cell. And you're thinking, how realistic is this to real life? Because I know some prisons can sort of be close to that, and then obviously some more maximum security type stuff. But
we did talk about this after the film, and I did say not that I'm advocating ever committing a crime, but you do sit there and think, spend all day playing like video games and eating chocolate. Like, yeah,
he literally had a mini shop going on. It was like a selection of any chocolate you wanted, Chris, like the whole shebang.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously Tay goes from having this quiet cell, keeping his head down, sort of prison life, to almost sort of being close to getting out in sort of a week or two. And all of a sudden, he's got this typical prison lad coming in, wants to run the joint, obviously going up against whatever that Alex's character is called or doesn't get called. But there's obviously other people in the prison that already run their drug operation. So D comes in and he's sort of messing all of that up. And obviously, Tay's sort of caught in the middle of all of it. So that's basically what Wasteman is about. Obviously, I won't go into spoilers on what happens, but I found the story very fascinating. I always find it difficult on how sort of to review these films because it's not like one of those films that jumps out and like it was amazing, but I can never sort of pinpoint what was amazing about it. It's just sort of really good performances from all the people involved. So David Johnson obviously was amazing in The Long Walk, amazing in this. I think he's showing how sort of flexible he is with this role because it's completely different to The Long Walk. It's a really good prison drama. Some of the camera shots that they use in terms of the prison cells, the sort of the phones as it's sort of starting, and you sort of got the point of views from the prisoners. It's you question whether it's realistic or not. So it'd be interesting to see how much inspiration they took from sort of an actual prison, sort of prison life and what that was like. I really liked the ending. I didn't see it coming. Sort of me and Stephen both mentioned about the ending. Obviously, I won't go into any major details, but we're both sitting there thinking like, what's going to happen? Like, what's going to happen with Taylor and his involvement with D, and sort of where does he find himself at the end of the story? And trying to sort of tread around eggshells with not saying too much, but yeah, I didn't see it coming, and I thought it was very smart writing. And once you watch it, Welchy, you'll sort of know what we mean by that. You also sort of feel sorry for him, Taylor, because he's so close to getting out. He's also got a kid on the outside. So the main, I don't think this is a spoiler because it sort of tells you, but the reason that he's in jail is because he used to do drug dealing, and basically someone that he gave drugs to overdosed and died. So he got, I think, well, I don't know how long he got in jail, but he'd been given 30. He was in there 13 years, I think.
Yeah.
At sort of as we started watching it. So after being in there 13 years, not thinking he's going to get out, to being told all of a sudden, look, good behavior, you can be released early. He starts communicating with his son, obviously getting excited about sort of potentially being released from prison. So you've got that sort of drama family bit in the background as well, where he's sort of excited for that.
I think I remember from sort of the dialogue that he has with D that I think he's serving 13 of either a 15 or 20-year sentence for manslaughter, essentially. Because obviously as well, they took inspiration from real life crimes of people lending it to sort of kids and then basically he gave the kid too much, or the kid didn't realize how strong this drug was, and basically like OD'd in front of him. But yeah, I think it was around a 15 or 20-year sentence, but he then gets the opportunity to be released earlier.
Yeah. So the fact that he's got all of that going on in the background, and you're sort of almost like cheering for him to get out. But yeah, Dee's involvement with it, and like him getting entangled in his sort of prison life and drama. Obviously, being in his cell, he's sort of having to back up D and sort of make sure he doesn't get on the wrong side of him, because the way that he's portrayed is some sort of, he's a bit mental, basically. I don't know how to sort of describe it, but he's come in as a typical prison lad wanting to run the place, and with that comes his sort of moments where he can just snap, and if you get on the wrong side of him, it's not going to look pretty for the person involved. So obviously Taylor, being sort of the shy sort of druggy person in prison, can't really stand up to him himself. But the way that story unfolds is really, really clever writing from the directors. So I really enjoyed that part about it. Yeah, I typically really enjoy prison dramas and any sort of prison films. I think of Green Street 2. I think that's set in a prison.
Yes,
I think that's
great film.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. So typically I was going in thinking I was going to enjoy this anyway. But yeah, overall it's a really intense, sort of gritty film, really good performance, really good drama. I was going to read the notes on a different film now. But yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed it. I was thinking, I wrote that down, but I can't think of any moments. But yeah, there's moments where you're sort of sitting on the edge of the seat, or moments where I thought like Taylor starts to sort of get involved with D, and he's sort of doing him favors and stuff, and he's got access to things that he normally wouldn't have access to. And then there's sort of parts in the film where I'm thinking like, oh, don't tell him that information, or like, don't do that, because he's going to use it against you later on. So there are moments where you're thinking, fuck, like, how is Taylor going to get out of all of this shit that he's finding himself in the middle of? He's basically in between two drug operations. There's also parts like in the film where they fly drugs into the prison using drones, and I'm thinking, would that ever happen in real life? Like, I've seen articles where like people try to fly drones into prisons, and obviously they get caught and shut down, or whatever. But whether that actually has been pulled off before in real life, that'd be interesting to know. But there's like those parts where I'm thinking like, that seems a bit unrealistic. I don't think they'd ever get away with doing that and smuggling drugs in that way. But
depends if the prison's been run really well, because you do have those prisons that don't have much staff and could go a little bit haywire, which this prison is. So I imagine it's not completely out of the question. And as I said, I learned some stuff that some prisons can be more flexible than others, because also what the movie does is a lot of the staff where they're not sort of in cahoots, but they've got people that they like more than others. So there are moments in the film where they will deliberately turn a blind eye, which does probably happen a lot throughout UK prisons. But yeah, I agree. I think the higher end prisons probably not, but the lower end ones potentially.
Yeah, and I think it does make during the film, it does make note of the fact that they are understaffed, I think.
Yeah. It's a low level prison being run.
Yeah, and the fact that the whole point of Taylor getting released early is because they're getting overrun with prisoners, and obviously he's on the lower end of sort of the crime that he's committed. To obviously get different prisoners in. So I think that is shown throughout the film as well. But yeah, no, overall I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good story. I'd recommend going to watch this in the cinema. I gave it 4 stars on Letterboxd, so I'm going to give it an 8.5.
8.5, the same as Send Help?
Yeah, I'd say it's on the same level as Send Help, just in a different way.
Yeah, cool. Just out of interest, this Tom Blythe guy, who is the guy who plays D, just went on his films, and I don't recognize many, but he has been cast in a Watch Dogs movie, which is coming out.
Oh, really?
Oh,
yeah. So that'd be one to look out for. He's in other stuff like some of the, I was gonna say Game of Thrones, Hunger Games movies. I think the new ones, maybe.
Oh, yeah. He's completely different.
Yeah,
in that. He's got like blonde hair and stuff. Yeah, I remember now.
People We Met on Vacation, which came out this year on Netflix. I've not seen it, but he's in a few. He seems to be another up and coming. So him and David Johnson together.
Yeah, another.
Sounds like they
Yeah,
did very well together.
yeah. He was a good actor as well.
Yeah.
Like his portrayal of that type of character was perfect.
Obviously, David Johnson has done, like you said, The Long Walk, Alien Romulus, which I loved.
Yes.
He is not in the new Watch Dogs movie, but cool.
Not yet.
Stephen, what did you think of Wasteman?
Yeah, so pretty much lined with pretty much everything that Andy has sort of said. I kind of went into it with high expectations. I knew it was going to be a hard-hitting drama, and the movie kind of did exactly what I expected and a lot more. Again, echo the point, central performance is really strong. I did say to Andy, I was like, oh my God, it's the guy from Rivals. Even though that when I went back to watch the trailer, yeah, it's clear that he's in it. But obviously, like I always say, I watch trailers so many times at the cinema that sometimes I'm watching them now and I've just switched off because it's like my sixth time watching it. So when I actually watch the movie, I do still get surprised when I see actors where I'm like, oh, it's the guy from Rivals. I thought it was incredibly gritty. I really liked at moments where the movie's brutal. And it's brutal in terms of the way that they speak to each other. And when the violence happens, it doesn't flinch. It's one of those where the camera doesn't shy away at any moment. And there are some moments where you're like, or there are also a bit like Send Help, where there's a couple of like gross out moments where you're like, oh, like particularly towards the end of the film. But again, that's kind of the world that they're inhabiting. And sort of going into it, you kind of expect that that's what you're going to get. I kind of picked up vibes of, like I said this to Andy when I was driving us home, sort of like films like Harry Brown and like Green Street, in the respect of these brutal ones where it's just a bit like chaotic in terms of the violence. They're not like choreographed set pieces of action and fighting. It's very similar to what you would see in a real fight, which is a lot more sort of intense and a lot more vicious and a lot more wild. And I think the movie captures that feeling really well. You can tell that they've done their homework in terms of encompassing what it actually feels like to be the prison. And I also said that whilst, you know, it was great, get the high life of like playing video games, eating chocolate, I equally also said, I don't think I'd probably survive in that kind of setting.
Yeah.
So outside of all of that, I'm out. I'm done. So that side of it was really good. It's 90 minutes, so it is the perfect length for these kind of films. It could have probably been 10 minutes longer. It wasn't like I was sitting there thinking, and I don't know if Andy felt the same, where we're like, oh, that wrapped up too quickly. Like, it was the perfect length, but if they wanted to expand a little bit more for 10-15 minutes, I wouldn't have marked that down either. But in terms of the length, and a lot of these kind of movies are, if I think back to like your Football Factory, Green Street, Harry Brown, they normally clock in at about 90 minutes. And I also agree with what Andy said. It's shot beautifully as well. I did think, because it's got the producer of Adolescence who works on the film, whether they were going to do some single tracking shots. There's a couple. I don't know if you remember the bit where Taylor walks from basically his cell to Alex Hassel's cell. They do that as a single track, and when he walks up the stairs and then goes in. So there was a couple of moments I was like, oh, that feels a little bit like Adolescence-y. But again, that's just because that whole show is just one single track shot. And I suppose a little bit you could argue with Adolescence, where there was moments in that show which it doesn't flinch. And I feel like that when you do these hardcore British dramas, they're kind of like, yeah, we need to be hitting every sort of punch. There was a couple sort of next to me where when we got to some of the harder moments of the movie, I did hear like wife go, oh Christ, or like, oh, and it was kind of that moment where you hear echoes fluctuating around the cinema. We've mentioned about the twist, which I won't say. I didn't see it coming either. There's a really clever way that when you know what it is, they tell it, and unless you're really, really observant, you wouldn't see it. So I was really, really impressed with that. And yeah, overall, I really, really enjoyed it. If you enjoy prison dramas and you enjoy hard-hitting British drama movies, then I think it's one of those where I did also say to Andy, I was like, I don't quite see where you would find grounds to like criticize the movie, because it's just a solid piece of work.
The only one thing I would say is, like, typically in these like prison films where you got drug operations going on, they're usually packed with like 5-6 people. Like, you have like one leader and then they have like 5-6 people working with them in the prison, or it's like a large group. in this film, like the drug operation is literally one person on one side, which is
Yeah,
D, and then two people on the other side. So it's very small in terms of numbers. I don't know if that's a more realistic look on how these things sort of go in
I
prisons,
imagine so.
or whether that's down to maybe budgets and they don't want to have too many
Casting.
people
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the limelight.
Could be a bit
So
of both,
yeah,
to be fair. Yeah, it could because it's quite niche. I would say it's one of the more movies that I've seen in cinema recently where it is pretty self-contained and limited to a few characters.
yeah.
But again, at the low level end of prisons, I wouldn't imagine you would have a massive drug operation where at the
Not
higher
you'd
end.
usually have more people protecting you though. Like where
Yeah,
D's literally, I know he's just been transferred into a new prison, but he's literally on his own, and you're thinking like you can't go into a new prison and try and operate and run that all by yourself.
yeah, but I suppose
You're gonna get fucked over.
But I think what the movie does really well is that it does show that he tries
Yeah, yeah,
to without giving anything away, but the movie does a very realistic take of not making you sort of have this person come in and then go to being the top dog. And actually, when I came out of the film, I was like, it does also a really good example of not. It doesn't really show you a top dog because every single one of those characters have got limitations in their own way. So I did think it was an interesting way of what that. I think they were just doing it in a much more actually realistic setting where like in like Green Street 2 for example, you've got like this massive drug operation that is like every single person and their dog in that film are like involved, which but that's like in America and different set of circumstances.
Yeah.
So I think it captured the material of what it would be like over here in a low level prison for sure.
Cool. And a score out of 10. Is it
Oh,
another
it's going to be
10
another
for
10.
Mr. 10
No,
out of 10?
no, wait. So I also am just going to clarify on this point because obviously I wasn't on the podcast for your Send Help review. I did listen to it. I do want to just lower that to a 9 while we're looking at scores. I feel like 10 was a bit too generous. Not to say that it isn't a bad film, but Andy made a really good point as I was working when he said you're comparing it to 28 years later, The Bone Temple. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. It's still amazing, but I can't put it to that level. So I would say that Send Help and Wasteman are two movies that I equally enjoyed and did a really good job. So for me, they both sit at 9 out of 10.
9.
So I'd like to give Wasteman 9 and lower Send Help to 9 as well, please.
Okay, Wasteman, high praise, an 8.5 and a 9. I'll try and watch it at some point. There's other films I want to see at the cinema more than that currently, but it'll be something that I watch when I'm available to, if that makes sense.
Is that Wuthering Heights, Welchy?
Absolutely fucking not Wuthering Heights. But we're about to find out about Wuthering Heights from Andy in a short while. Cool. Well, thank you both for going to watch that and reviewing it on the podcast. Glad you both enjoyed it. Andy, you've had a few stinkers recently. So you're starting to get a few good ones now. So that's good news.
Yeah, finally.
In the right direction. I've been good for you to watch it, Welchy, so we can go to spoiler chat. There's a lot more stuff that, like we were skating around in the notes, that will be good to sort of discuss. And also, if you pick up on the twist. Yeah.
And obviously, I can't start thinking about movie of the year already, but it sounds like it's going to be critically one of the better films of the year potentially. So I'd like to try and watch as many of those as I can. Obviously, I didn't even watch One Battle After Another last year, so that's bollocks. But
I don't think it's going to be like to the limits of maybe I Swear, but I think it might be one of those that is just sitting maybe just below, or like how the critics absolutely praised I Swear. I feel like Wasteman is going to be in that,
or get nominated for.
I think it could win a couple of
Best Actor.
Yeah, okay.
I think I think David Johnson could get voted Best Actor or
he's
nominated.
A good actor, isn't he? He's going to be around for a while.
I don't think he'll get into the category of for the Oscars, like, because also British films, I don't know, they do differently. But in terms of like for the BAFTAs, this is kind of like a movie that BAFTA want to put their badge and name across all of it when you've got like a really successful British movie. I can see him being nominated for that, and certainly like I would say in terms of the camera and also some of the audio in the film, because you're right, they have moments where they capture sort of POV shots on mobile phones, and I think that is done incredibly realistically. So I think it could win a couple of awards in that. It will certainly be in the conversation for sure, but just not at the Oscars.
Cool. Well, they have to wait and see whether they do win. But for now, we're going to take a very short break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about what else we've been watching, including Wuthering Heights, more Iron Lung, and chapter strange. Well, that's the wrong way around. Strangers chapter 3. So stick around if you want to hear about those. We're going to take a very short break. Welcome back to the Late Night Movie Podcast. Andy and Stephen have just been reviewing Wasteman. Almost forgot what it was called already. And now we're going to be talking about what we've been watching elsewhere. So I think first place to start is Wuthering Heights, Andy, because you've been to see it yesterday, Valentine's Day.
Yes, Valentine's Day. That is true.
A nice romantic film with his partner. It's come out this week as well.
It came out Friday.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you literally sort of the day after Valentine's Day. Great.
Yeah.
So hot off the press, what are your thoughts on Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi's new movie?
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of mixed reviews on this film.
So have I.
I don't know what you guys have seen. And I think the biggest problem that people have with it is that they've been promoting this as a romantic love story.
And am I right in saying this is from a book?
Yeah,
I haven't read by Emily Bronte.
Yeah, I haven't read the book, so I'm not going to compare it to the book. So people that are getting worried about different comparisons between the book and the film, I have no opinion on that because I haven't read the book. So
I haven't read the book either. If I just check that, I think it's one of those books that is lauded in one of the best bits of literature. Like there's a line that is in the book that I also think is in the film. I was watching an interview with Emerald Fennell, BBC Very One, where I think he says you broke your own heart, and in the process, you've broken mine, or something along the lines.
How old is this book?
Came out. Yeah, it's an old bit of literature.
It's set in 18th century.
The top review says it's over 180 years old.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's a really old piece of literature.
I read when it was originally released, Victorians absolutely hated it because it was really heavy stuff. And it was released under an alias, so the author didn't give her real name at the time. It was she gave a male name.
She died of tuberculosis. I can't say a certain video game character, but I can't say here.
Oh, this is a spoiler.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's obviously a very old book. I haven't read it.
1847.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
So there you go. But yeah, this film is not a romantic film. There is a love story in there, but it's not your typical sort of romantic love story where you get the happy ending, everyone's in love, it's all jolly. It's nothing like that at all. So that's why people, I think, are getting upset because they've released it a day before Valentine's Day, over Valentine's Day weekend, sort of marketed it as this love story romantic film, and you go in and watch this and actually it's a deep sort of sad tragedy film, and so it's nothing like that at all. Obviously there is an aspect of love in there where Margot Robbie's character Catherine, I think her name was, she is basically part of a rich wealthy family, and then you've got Jacob's character Heathcliff, hoping I remember their names right, as the sort of, he gets taken in by the dad, by the family, as a servant. And obviously you then have that typical, as kids they start to sort of bond and grow for each other, and
kids.
Obviously so they start off as kids.
Oh, so obviously
they're played by
okay.
No, so it shows I think the intro is them as kids, and then there's flashbacks of them as kids as well. So Heathcliff is portrayed by Owen Cooper from Adolescence.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, so he's actually done another really good performance in this film, I will say, because I was looking at him thinking, because he looks a bit different, I was like, I recognize you. I was like, I think that's the boy from Adolescence. So I came out to Beth and I was like, oh, do you think that's Owen Cooper? And I was like, from Adolescence. She hadn't seen it, but she was like, no, that's not him. And I googled it, and it was like, yeah, it literally is him.
Wow, he's doing well.
Yeah, so another great performance from him. I actually really enjoyed when he portrayed the character as a kid, so fair play to him. I was thinking, I don't know how old he is, but potentially he would have been a good one to be portrayed as Atreus, based on how sort of well he's been flexible with his film.
I could also imagine the amount of arguments between couples coming out if they went into it thinking it's going to be this lovely little love story, and how many Valentine's Day just ruined into descended into pure arguments.
Yeah.
He was born in 2009, so he is currently
17.
50, 16,
16. It's not
17?
his birthday this year, will be 17.
Yeah.
Wow,
Okay.
not a bad start
Um,
to life.
No.
yeah. So his performance I really liked. I don't know the girl's name. I don't think I've seen her in anything else like the younger Catherine. But again, her performance as well, like both their characters in those flashbacks and the instruction, I thought were marvelous. They're two very good, talented young actors.
So just to interrupt you, her
So
name is Charlotte Mellington, and this appears to be her first movie.
okay, so for a first movie, that's pretty impressive in my eyes. Also thought it was like good casting in terms of their younger versions to then their grown-up versions. I thought was done really well because sometimes films can mess that up where you think like,
Who's meant to be older?
so what do you mean between Catherine and Heathcliff?
Yeah, they're meant to
Or
be the same age. Because you said
I think they're
he's a servant, right?
yeah.
As a
So
kid, he's a
it starts
servant.
as a kid, yeah. So basically, I think it starts off with like he's homeless or something, and then the father of Catherine takes him in, and then like takes him under his roof. But I also don't know if there's like I feel like there's other twisted stuff in the background as well, which it sort of hints to, but you're not fully aware. Like basically, her father isn't a good guy, and he'll get the whip out and stuff over sort of things that you'd think would be ridiculous to do that now.
Yeah.
So he's not a nice character, the dad. Um, but then also like as they grow older and they like sort of have that whole they're in love with each other, but they don't sort of fully commit and say it to each other because obviously they're scared of the dad. Obviously, a rich, wealthy sort of girl falling in love with a servant is obviously frowned upon and sort of forbidden in those times, I guess. So they never sort of commit to the idea of love to each other. But then another family move in, sort of, I say next door, it's not literally next door, but the closest house to them.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah, there's like loads of land around it. So I say next door, but yeah, it's like 1,000 meters away or something. Probably even further than that, actually. But yeah, it's another rich guy that moves in next door. And that's when Catherine sort of decides to what's the word I'm looking for? She decides to basically try and get with the wealthy guy because it'll be good for her family. Like her family, her dad like is gambling basically his fortune away. So like their house is like sort of going downhill and into ruins. She's trying to protect herself and survive. She's been used to being sort of wealthy and having all these like nice dresses and whatnot. So basically she tries to wed this other rich guy to stay wealthy, and she thinks that's the right thing to do in terms of not dating a servant boy. They're just both very selfish characters. So Kathy and Heathcliff, like they'll sort of they'll do anything and will hurt anyone in terms of sort of their search for like finding each other. And I won't give like too many details away, but they're basically not nice towards other people. This film sort of almost promotes like cheating as a good thing in this, because obviously Catherine uh, is then cheating on her new husband with Heathcliff and things like that. So there's a lot of that involved and a lot of selfishness, and they're just not, when you look at it in a sort of deeper meaning, although they're sort of doing it because they sort of feel so deeply in love with each other, the things that it's like, what would you do for love? And like the lengths that they go to is just absolutely crazy. And I feel like that's a lot of the stuff that people weren't liking, because it's like it's not a love story, and the way they end is also very sad. And yeah, so the end is definitely very sad. And what happens, I won't give that part away. Like if anyone's going to watch it, then like to see how it all unfolds is quite intense, really really sad. Beth beth came out to cinema and said this was one of her like favorite movies of the year, and I was thinking like I liked it, but I was like, why did you like it so much? And yeah, didn't really give me an answer, but yeah, she said it was one of her favorite movies
I saw your
of the
story
year.
that said
And
that, and I thought, because you like reposted her story on your story, or whatever.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I did see that as well.
Then I thought, oh, is Andy going to come with the same? So you're not going to say it's quite that good?
It's not my it's like it's not my typical type of film that I'll go and enjoy as much as Beth would. But I'm starting to watch more films like this. But if I'm comparing this to like Hamnet, would probably be a similar film that I'd compare this to in terms of emotion, like powerful drama and emotional film. And I preferred Hamnet a lot more over this. But the way this film looked, by the way, like the houses, the flooring, all the sets and all the dress, like the dresses, the clothing, that all looked amazing. Like I think that's the biggest compliment of this film is the way that it looked. Like I was like, wow, if that's what it was like to be rich in the 18th century, then 18th century, then yeah, I would have loved to be rich as well in that time.
Are you aware, Andy, this is from the same director that did Saltburn?
I knew about it before, yeah, because I've seen loads of comparisons to Saltburn, and I was guessing that was why.
In terms of like the look and the way that like the titles is shot, there's a lot of comparisons, and also that there are because it's funny. So my sister went to see it. She does a thing called Galentine's Day where her and her girlmate go out, pile of shit, but anyway, right, if you want to. And she went, "Oh, how was Wuthering Heights?" And she's like, I don't know. She said she didn't like it, but she said that because it was too full on in some of the more intimate moments of the movie. And what I responded with, I was like, that just made me want to see it even more. Well, you said there was too much Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi going at it, like rabbit. So, all right.
I don't think it was full on. Like some people have tried to say, like I don't know what scene they're referring to, but I haven't seen Saltburn, but I know there's a scene in there that people watch and go,
yeah,
what the fuck, basically. That's
there's a couple of scenes in Saltburn that have where you're like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
There's nothing like that in this film. I don't think personally. There was nothing that made me look away or think like, what the fuck. It was standard sort of stuff in a relationship. They like, you might see some kinky bits, but mostly it wasn't even them. But yeah, there was nothing that was over the top. I say over the top, like there were certain parts that you wouldn't see in a normal relationship as such, but it wasn't anything that would make you look away from the screen. Like you hear weirder shit now. With
I think it's also some of the people like, and I see it as well, criticizing the film for glorifying like cheating and that kind of disruptive parts of relationship. I do think movies have a problem though when you cast like two like really good looking people in Jake Lloyd and Margot Robbie. It does make it kind of really difficult because people will look at that and go, yeah, but it's fucking Margot Robbie, Jake Lloyd. Like I can hear those conversations being had. So it's kind of like if you're going to do that, maybe cast like two more. I'm not saying that that's attractive, but do you see what I'm like trying to say? Where like when you cast kind of attract people, and Saltburn had the same thing where he was doing like really awful shit, but then people say to me, yeah, but it's whatever his name is, Barry. Like, have you seen him? It kind of like defeats sometimes the
attractive
point.
Barry. I don't see that. I know he was
I didn't see it either. But again, I would like Rosamund Pike, for example. You know, when you've got somebody that is being like really sort of out there, but because of how like they look on the surface, it can kind of derail from the point. But then equally, you're selling it because Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi are leads in the film. So
yeah, I also like usually disagree with people as well when they say like, oh, it's promoting like cheating and stuff. It's like it's a film, like it's not promoting that might happen in the film. Like it's like it's that whole argument where people say about GTA, like, oh, you play GTA, all of a sudden you're going to be someone that wants to go out and kill people, like shoot guns and stuff. And I never like see it that way in terms of it's just a film. Take it as a film. Like your own actions are your own actions. They're not. I don't think they're influenced by movies and games and stuff.
No, totally agree with that.
But yeah, the performances, I think this is probably some of the best performances I've seen Margot Robbie and Jacob do, like especially Jacob. I've only ever seen him mostly and I haven't seen Frankenstein yet, so I want to watch that, but I've only ever seen him in like rom-coms on Netflix, so probably more of his older stuff. So
he's great. He's great in Saltburn as well. Like his performance in Saltburn.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen him in Saltburn. So yes,
but it feels like this director gets probably the best out of Jacob Elordi.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so I really enjoyed him in this, and Margot Robbie. The way that their characters collide in this film were really good. But yeah, don't go into this film thinking this is a romantic love story. It isn't. It's a film about tragedy. It has a very sad ending. It's very sad overall for everyone involved in this film. Like, I don't think there's a happy ending for anyone in this movie. So yeah, if you go in with that mindset, then maybe you'll enjoy it a bit more over. You're going to come out all happy and joyful, and yeah, because it's not that type of film at all.
That what you said about the ending tells me that this doesn't promote cheating. If anything, it tells you the bad things. Obviously, I don't know what happens. It kind of shows you that
potentially
the
it could
bad
be like
side of
bad
it.
karma. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. You could look at it and think like the actions that they've both taken have led to how the ending unfolded. So yeah,
it's like
I could agree with that.
Very different film, obviously, but Uncut Gems is like he's obviously he lives in such a way, and you kind of think, oh, I like to live like that, and then the ending happens, you're like, oh yeah, fuck that.
It's like
Wolf Street,
Wall Street. Yeah, another perfect example of that. You want that high life. It's like you think there, you watch it going, well, let's start a business. Let's follow the life of Jordan Belfort. And by the end of the movie, you know, he's a guy that gets arrested and, you know, is beating up his wife. Like, it does not make me want that part of life in any shape or form. So yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I will be going to watch it at some point because these kind of movies I quite enjoy. But again, I'm aware of the story of Wuthering Heights, so yeah, it's not necessarily a love story in that sense.
Yeah,
I will not be going to watch
it. Overall, I still liked it. I gave it a 3.5 on Letterboxd. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Solid.
The same as Mercy.
Yes.
Okay.
Because this, like, with Mercy, like,
and
I
the same as Marty Supreme.
Yeah, like I think Marty Supreme was way overhyped and overrated.
Interestingly, Wuthering Heights is sitting at a 62 on Rotten Tomatoes, but an 80 on the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Critics are going. Yeah, critics are going one way or another with it. It's sort of it's similar to like Saltburn as well. Like Saltburn is one of those other films where like you either go with it or you don't. Like I feel like Emerald Fennell's films are quite Marmite in terms of like you either like it, as Andy says, or you take real exception to it. One thing that my sister also said, not really a spoiler, but there's a Kate Bush song called Wuthering Heights, and she was expecting that to pop up in the film, and it doesn't. And she's like, that's a bit of a mixed for it.
It did have music, but from Charlie XCX.
Yeah, Charlie XCX wrote some original songs.
Music.
Yeah. She's also in a film.
Some of that did fit with the scenes, and then other bits didn't fit so well. But yeah, music was good.
Yeah, because there's a song that she writes called "Fall in Love Again and Again," and I'm like, well, that is absolutely sort of fit into what even from the trailer. I'm like, that song. But yeah, she's also in another documentary coming out in a few days' time.
It's a mockumentary. It's a film.
Is it Is it based on her, or is she playing?
On her. It's based on her.
Yeah.
Whatever she calls it.
I will go and watch that because
I know so well off it. She's a weird one to me because she did the song with Iggy Azalea in like 2015 or whatever it was, Fancy.
Oh yeah, I love it. And I love it as well.
I just assumed she just fell off the face of the earth, and then someone told me like at work the other day that she's like one of the biggest stars in the world. I was like, really? Like she hasn't done anything, has she? Apparently, I'm just getting old.
She's got a brat plan.
We need to move on. You two have both been to see the final chapter of Strangers. Now, just as a reminder for everyone, either who's new to the podcast or
this is going to be good.
Have forgotten. I've not watched any of these, so I have not reviewed any of these. But let me find your scores for these. When would it have been? Okay, so I don't actually think either of you would have reviewed chapter 1 on here.
No, we saw it in like the summer of 2024.
Yeah, so you didn't review that one on here, but you both liked that one, right?
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then number 2, Andy gave a 4 out of 10.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Which
didn't like it.
From memory, I thought you hated it more than that, but anyway. And Stephen gave it a 6 out of 10. Now, chapter 3. Let's start with the guy who rates it higher, and because Andy's just spoken for a while, so give him his voice a rest. Stephen, what did you think of chapter 3? And obviously give it a score, but then as a collective 3, how shit is it?
Yeah. So I already absolutely know that me and Andy are going to differ on
Oh,
this.
no.
We've not spoken
Oh,
about it,
there
but
we
I
go.
just I know full well where he's going with it. So I saw it on Wednesday, just gone, and I was curious to see because in the trailer, basically they showed things of the main protagonist. I can't remember her name, but we've been following her since the
Not a
first
good sign,
chapter.
Stephen. That's
She's
not a good
done,
sign.
done
Well, I
3
just
films.
name pops out of my head, right? And bearing in mind, all of the 3 movies have taken place over like 2 days. It's nuts. Because they say like in the first film, like this has happened in like 48 hours, and I'm thinking that's a really shitty like couple of days that you've had, love there. But they showed in the trailer her putting on the stranger's mask. So I was thinking, oh, are we going to do a thing of like she's going to become a stranger, and how's that going to sort of play out? And he did say you might go into that being really disappointed. So I kind of went into it sort of with a mixed bag. Bearing in mind that I've seen both the original Strangers in 2008 and the sequel Prey at Night, which I still hold as like the best one. Um, I I enjoyed this. I did enjoy this. I enjoyed it for a number of reasons. In fact, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, you know what? I don't. Andy's gonna hate what I'm about to say. I actually probably think that this was my favorite out of the 3. Just like one, I enjoyed. 2 had its moments. I think if I remember right in the review, I said the first act of number 2 I really enjoyed, but then it kind of fell away in the second half.
Yeah,
I
the
believe.
pig scene or whatever it was, some sort of
Oh
Yeah, the
yeah,
ball.
ball.
Yeah.
yeah. At that point, I was like, "What the fuck is this? This is an outrage." This one felt like it was the most sort of it flew in terms of its pacing, and it didn't feel like it changed tacks in terms of its story. Um, the flashback sequences, and you get quite a number of these in the film. Love them, absolutely love them, because what this trilogy is doing is showing you backstory as to why the strangers became the strangers. We didn't get that in the previous 2 films, and this is obviously set in its own world. But I love stuff like that. You know, you clearly understand why the strangers are doing what they're doing. It gives real good sort of insight into that, and they're constructed in a really good way. So there's like a sequence where they're waiting outside a convenience store, and they see this lovely couple going to a motel, and they're just like, yeah, and they're like no more than like maybe 14, 15 when they're doing this, and they just then follow them back to the motel room, and they just brutally murder them, and then they go like, why are you doing this? And then the line that always sends shivers down my spine is they go, because you're here. It's like, you're here, so that's why we're doing it. And obviously it gives you insight as to like in the strangers, they knock and go, is Tama here? And you see the origin of that. Also, I love, and again, I won't go into major spoilers because there might be people out there that are generally curious into watching this. I like the way that they construct of her becoming basically one of the strangers. I think that is told really well.
Is that something
And
that's in the original story?
Sorry?
The original Strangers film from 2008, is that something that happens in that?
So this has been really confusing because when they did the Strangers Chapter 1, they promoted it as a way that it kind of shows you how they became the Strangers before the events of the 2008 film. This is set in a completely different world.
So,
like this is like a standalone trilogy. There's a couple of Easter eggs throughout all 3, which are nodding to those 2 movies, and it's a story that is written by Brian De Palma, who directed and wrote the original Strangers.
okay.
But in terms of they basically said 1 and 2 didn't happen. This is our telling of a 3-chapter story, just with a couple of Easter eggs. Because I was waiting, thinking it would have got even higher marks for me if they were able to tie it into any of the previous films, and they don't. These are just sort of standalone. I could see the twists and turns running a mile away. The acting is nothing to shout about. Like I'm not sitting there and going tremendous performances, but there's a set piece also in a motel room with the up-to-date strangers, which I actually thought was really good, and there's a nice bit of musical set piece towards the very end, which I also quite like. I was sitting there at one point, Andy and I were going about thinking like, is this going to go in a different way? Like, what the hell is she doing? And then I was like, I feel like she's going to do something in 3, 2, 1, and then she did. Do you know what I'm referring to, Andy? Like towards the end of the film,
No,
like
I've forgotten what happens.
That's a good start. There's like a bit where I thought basically like 2 of them were going to get their groove on, and then I'm thinking, surely this is like you're being played, mate, and then it changes in that sort of sense when she's underground. God, the film really didn't appeal to Andy in any shape or form, did it? Jesus Christ. I thought it was a solid end to the trilogy. As I said, it's nothing unique. It's nothing sort of original. But in terms of telling a story, I felt that both chapter 1 and 2 had some pacing issues, and I didn't feel that there were any pacing issues to me. It was kind of just consistent wrapping up the story. And I think I love them trying to give more exploration and backstory to the strangers, and those are the bits of the movie that really hit hard. I imagine there's people out there thinking it's boring, it doesn't hit, but for me, being such a big Strangers fan, I came out pretty satisfied with what I saw.
And a score out of 10?
I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Which, if I was going to give if we were reviewing chapter 1, I probably would have gone for maybe like the 6.5. So I gave chapter 2 6, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm basing them at
3, 1,
around
2 is
sort
yours
of
ranking.
Yeah, 6, 7. Like I said, there's nothing there that is going to kind of win awards or make people go, that was incredible. There are some people that said we didn't really need this, and I would also say that if you just had the 2 Strangers movies, fine. But like I said, I think it's great to try and do backstory, and I do think that it hits. And I've seen many of these kind of movies before, like slasher movies, which are just bullshit when they try and construct sort of giving the enemy sort of leverage to make you go, oh, I still don't agree with what they're saying, but you understand throughout the course of the 3 chapters why the strangers are the strangers, which is, I think, what they were set out to do.
So before you go, Andy, Rotten Tomatoes, chapter 1, 21, chapter 2, 14, chapter 3 is sitting at 18.
So second highest.
It's a second
Is that
highest,
all critics source?
That's critics.
Yeah, critics.
Letterboxd, chapter 1, 1.9.
Wow.
Chapter 2, 1.8. Chapter 3, 1.8. This has to be one of the worst trilogies rating-wise.
In terms of,
sure.
yeah.
And it's, to be fair, chapter 3 has 6 reviews.
Really?
Wait, no. 6 fans, which means 6 people. That means 6 people press like. So not many.
That is bad.
And that's based off 12,000 reviews.
Wow.
God.
That is
6
mental.
people said yes, this is good.
That is mental.
Wow.
So Andy, off the back of that,
yeah,
I have seen your Letterboxd score, so I know where this is going. But would you like to tell everyone else what you think of Strangers Chapter 3?
I know he's not going to.
Just as a heads up, we've got about 5 minutes, but obviously, say what you need to say.
So yeah, I'm obviously going in the opposite direction to Stephen, and I had to argue his point about the whole main actor becoming a stranger. I'd probably have to go into spoilers, but I completely disagree with. She doesn't become a stranger at all in this movie. The guy basically puts the mask, like holds the mask over her face, and she doesn't become a stranger. She doesn't become one of them. She isn't them.
She's been forced against like her will, but she's forced to having to essentially kill somebody. So even though she's not one of the strange, well, I don't think you're going to go and watch this, Welchy.
No,
and spoil it for anyone out there that's seen it. But they've never done that in any of the Stranger movies where they actually force one of the people that they normally just kill them. They normally like tie them up, stab them, kill them, job done. So even though she's not directly a stranger, she's still working. You know, she has the mask on in the car for a prolonged period of time. She's in the motel room and he gets the knife and he forces it into the victim. So technically, she did kill someone with a stranger's mask on.
But that doesn't make her a stranger because she's being forced to do all of that. That's like me that's like someone forcing a balaclava over me, forcing me to like rob a bank with me at gunpoint, and then calling me a bank robber. It's not
true. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I like that idea because they haven't done something like that.
No,
before.
you said you like that she's a stranger, become a stranger, but she hasn't.
Yeah, but what I mean by that is she's wearing the mask of a stranger. Doesn't mean that I'm calling. I like the idea
that's the difference. You like that she's got the mask on, but she's one being forced to put the mask on, but 2, she isn't a stranger because she isn't willingly doing all of that stuff. I thought it would have been a lot cooler, and I was hoping the film was going to go in that direction. That obviously you have in the second film, the stranger's girlfriend dies basically. I thought it was going to be cool if she then became part of the the trio of strangers. And if they went down that direction, I thought all the trauma that she was going to go through in the third film, everything that she'd been through with her boyfriend dying in the first film, everything that she'd been put through, sort of in terms of having to escape, survival, all of that, thinking that she was basically at the end of the first film, basically getting like survived it and sort of then going to go on and live like her life or whatever. Like, I thought it'd been a lot cooler if she actually turned into a stranger by herself, decided to put the mask on because she had been through so much. She like just switches off her sanity basically and becomes part of their group. And it almost teases with the idea that the main stranger is going to sort of form a relationship almost with her, and it sort of teases that with some of the moments, and you mentioned it. And if they went down that route, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more, but they don't. And so the whole idea that you're saying she's a stranger is completely like bullshit. She's not a stranger. Like he forces the mask on her. She's basically like a shell. She's like basically just a vessel. That there's nothing in her in those moments. So
but I would also argue at the very end of the film, it does play with the idea that for all the stuff that she's gone through, because there's a line that he says of, you're just like me, and she even says, maybe I am, because she's lost everything. So it does leave you with the idea that she could start going and killing people because she's so messed up because she's got nothing left.
She could, but she doesn't in this film.
No, but that's how they leave it.
End of the series.
It's playing with that
in
idea.
My eyes, she's not a stranger. She just got revenge on what she wanted to get revenge on, and that's it. The only good things about this film is what Stephen said with the flashbacks and giving more story to the strangers. Those were the only bits in the film that I enjoyed, and I thought it was from sort of the beginning to the end. It was slow. It was boring. Those were the only moments I enjoyed when it flashed back to the strangers, and they could have just done that as a whole separate film if they wanted to, and actually had a decent film in this trilogy. But yeah, overall, I thought it was very, very poor. I enjoyed the first one. I really enjoyed the first film just because that set the whole thing up. The second film I felt was sort of, again, slow because it just felt like they was doing the same thing. They're just trying to kill this girl. And in the third film, most of the story was the strangers then trying to kill her again, and it's like, fucking hell, we've had 3 films of that basically. Like, how many more films do you need to tell us that you're trying to kill this girl? And I know you get more of the backstory, and that was the only part I enjoyed. So yeah, obviously you've seen my score on Letterboxd. I did not rate it highly. I didn't like it. I gave it 1.5 stars, I want to say.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give this is a 3 out of 10. This is 3 out of 10 for me.
Worst one, bro.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm glad that series is not coming back because
we're going to get Strangers Chapter 4, and she's going to put the Stranger's mask on and start killing everybody, and it's going to prove my point.
You can't call her a stranger.
How can they get a Strangers Chapter 4 after all these critic reviews?
No, they won't. I'm teasing.
How they got 3 films? That's mental.
Maybe it's clear for me to say that, yeah, I would argue that she's not a stranger, but the way that the movie constructs it, I like that premise. I like the idea that they did with her, which I know obviously that you didn't. So
but you're saying the thing that you like about her, I'm disagreeing with, and saying I would enjoy the movie if they actually did what you're saying you're like. Yeah,
but I also think they just teased it towards the end. So we're not going to see eye to eye. We could be talking about this for like the next hour and a half. But
we've got 1 minute left.
Yeah,
Stephen, do you want to do a quick 1 minute review of Iron Lung?
Oh, yeah, I will try my best to do it incredibly quickly because obviously I know that Andy absolutely hated this like movie in any shape or form.
We liked it more than. Oh no, you didn't. You gave it a 2. Yeah, shit.
Yeah, I forgot you gave it a 2. I will agree with the points that Andy made. It should have been 40 minutes, way shorter. It should not have been 2 hours 4 minutes. There's a lot of stuff in the opening act of the movie which you could just get rid of. But I did like this more than Andy for a number of reasons. One, I thought Markiplier was great in the central role, and the fact that this was his first feature film that he's directing, basically his project and doing all the kinds of stuff, I thought that there was potential in there, and he demonstrated that we could get. I don't think this is going to be his best piece of work, but I think there's potential for him to direct future horror movies moving forward. The main reason why I really liked it was that it was kind of the last 30 minutes, because I was watching it for like the first hour and a half thinking, yeah, there's a couple of like decent moments, but this isn't really going anywhere, and it's a little bit on the boring side, and it could really be trimmed. But then the last 30 minutes of the film, for me, and I think it's one of those movies that you can take, so I'm going over a minute here, but you can take more from like your own interpretation. So like me and Andy have spoken about it, and the way that I took it, I can't be proved right, and obviously you've got to watch it, but what I took from it made a lot more sense. And I thought the visual effects and the way that it built in that final half an hour, I walked out of it going, that was much better than what I thought it was going to be. And I thought visually, generally, it ended on a good note. And it's certainly not the best movie that you'll see, but it's definitely better than Return to Silent Hill. Absolutely. It made Return to Silent Hill made this movie look like, I don't know, sort of Final Destination Bloodlines. That's how bad Return to Silent Hill is. I never ever want to speak of that piece of shit ever again. So for me, not perfect, but certainly not bad.
It's a score?
It's like 5 out of 10.
5, okay.
Middle of the road.
Yeah. Just out of interest, Iron Lung has got nearly 44 million at the box office.
It's
done really well.
Very well. Markiplier.
It's crazy
but he probably
YouTube
retire anyway.
Yeah.
And I just thought out of interest, Send Help is at almost 74 million. Again, another successful movie this year.
What is Iron Lung on at the moment on Rotten Tomatoes, critics wise?
It is on critics wise, and it loads 61.
Okay, still respectable, to be fair, from critics.
Yeah, 88 audience, but I wouldn't trust that.
There's moments in it where you go, that's really interesting, but it doesn't do it consistently, and it kind of, especially in its first hour, I can clearly see when you were saying this is like, what the fuck's going on. But as I said, for me, the ending made up for it. If the ending I didn't get on with, then this would be like 3 out of 10 generally. But there's potential in there.
I just feel it hard to say. You basically said you enjoyed the last 30 minutes, and this is a 2-hour film. How can you, like, you wouldn't be able to recommend this film to anyone? You'd be like, oh, get through the first hour and a half, and then you'll enjoy it. It's like,
yeah, no, I would totally agree with that. That it can be a bit of a chore getting through that opening 90 minutes, but there are moments in that 90 minutes where I'm like, oh, that's really interesting, or like bits of visual effects and audio effects I like. And also, I really liked Markiplier's performance. Like his central, I liked the character. I liked when he was sort of the way that he was speaking. So that in the shitter moments was still carrying me through. Like I said, 5 out of 10 means that it's not brilliant, but there's aspects in it, and the ending kind of, I got to the end of it, I was like, well, that now makes sense for a lot of stuff. We could have been an hour shorter, and we still would have come out with a positive experience.
Well, there you have it. That is going to be the end of tonight's episode of the Late Night Movie Podcast. Let us know what your thoughts were on Wasteman or any of the other movies we've discussed today. Drop your thoughts in the comments or tag us on socials at the Late Night Pods. We'd love to hear from you. You can also join our Discord using the link in the description so you can get your thoughts in before we record our episodes. If you enjoyed this particular episode, please make sure to follow and subscribe wherever you are listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next episode. Speaking of which, next time we're continuing our A to Z movie series with our review of Xeno. That begins with an X. You will not want to miss it. I can promise you that. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. I have been your host, Welchy, and my co-hosts have been Andy.
Yeah, thank you as always, guys. It's been a pleasure, and looking forward to the next episode.
And Stephen.
Yeah, can't wait to discuss Xeno as we approach the end of the A to Z series. Look forward to the next one.
Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.